Well, welcome back to Nightly Nonsense, where we make some sense out of nonsense. I have a good one for you tonight. We're going to talk about intentional gawking. How's that for something you probably haven't had a sermon on? This isn't a sermon. I'm just trying to challenge you tonight to think about things differently. In this case, to look at things differently. You know, gawking is that idea like we get fixated on something and we just can't quit staring at it, right? Our mouth is kind of open. We're looking at it wide open, right? There are lots of things in our lives that we do need to intentionally gawk at. Some of those things are things of God. We're just blown away. Right? We just cannot get our gaze away from that which God is doing. When you see people healed, when you see people come in a miraculous way to know Jesus, when you see people become Jesus and do everyday Jesus things, you should be gawking at the things of Jesus all the time. When you recognize, whoa, that looks like Jesus. We should want to be with our Savior. We should want to stare at the things of our Savior. We should want to embrace the things of our Savior. So you should be walking around on a regular basis, gawking at the things of Jesus and Jesus. Sometimes we get it right. We are gawkable, right? We are worth looking at. Sometimes we just do the right things, and it should amaze you. When you see somebody who has every right to throw a fit, every right to go off the rails, and they stay on the rails, and they look like Jesus, and how they respond to something, how they act to something, it is worth staring at. It's worth looking at and saying, I can't believe what I'm seeing right now. I am seeing Jesus. This is what it means like to be Christ-like. This should be happening in our churches. This should be happening all the time as we're walking around. We're looking and we're seeing Jesus, and we can't pull our gaze away from it. I can't believe that person just did it. They had every right to do all this other stuff. If it was me, I would have done all these other stuff. How often do we admit to people that we're not Christ-like? Right? If that had been me, I would have lost it. No, you're supposed to be Christ-like. Why would you be losing it? But in moments of gawking, we should also encourage people. How many times does it say that the people were astonished, the people were amazed, the people were just totally drawn aback from God and what he was doing through Jesus? They took a step back and they looked at it and went, whoa, holy cow. Right? How many times were people encouraged by what Jesus was doing? How many times are people, right, gawking at Jesus? Nobody could believe what was coming out. Everybody was amazed at his authority and his power and his teaching and all of these things. We're supposed to be Christ-like, so that should be happening to you on a daily basis. You should be walking and doing life and finding that people are gawking at you, but you're gawking at other people. I've seen this look. I've seen it when I've been talking to people. Can't see it right now, but maybe one or two of you are looking at this. And I've seen people just totally, they're totally out of tune with anything that's around them because they're focused in on what's being said to them. Right? I've sat next to people. I've been in that place where you're so focused on what's going on, right, that you have no idea, right, what's going on around you. But we're gawking at something. Hopefully, those are Christ-like things. Now, the flip side of this coin is we can also gawk at things that are not Christ-like. We can get caught up in those moments that we just can't believe this happened. We can't believe this person did something like this. We can't believe that it's even possible for this much evil to be in the world or any of these things. Right? Sometimes we gawk at the worldliness around us. If we're not careful, right, we gawk a little bit too long and we become fixated on that. We can't get it out of our head. We're focused, and then it goes right down the path that we've been talking about for a couple weeks. Right? We get fixated on that which is bad or ugly or wrong, right? And we're just left with our mouth open and we're focused on something, and we need God to kind of pull our focus away. I've been there before where you've needed some people to come up to you and snap out of it. Andy, let's go. Get out of this. This isn't a good place for you to be, right? Intentional gawking at worldly things leads us into sin. It leads us into despair, right? It leads us into a place that's not about Jesus. We want to gawk at, we want to be fixated. Fix your eyes on the things of Jesus. Don't fix your eyes on the things of this world. We need to be aware of it. There are things that need to take us aback for a second and go, whoa, what is going on? I can't believe this. But we need to be intentional about what we're looking at. Intentional gawking is really, really important. When you see and feel yourself getting drawn in, right, to the ugliness of this world, sometimes it starts off as a, hey, I saw this, I recognize it, now I want to fight against it. But when it's beginning to consume us, and it's the only thing that we talk about, and it's the only thing that we can see in a moment, now we're off track, right? If we're gawking at the sin of people, and that's all we're focused on, right, then we're going to miss out on the Jesus moments. So we can look at somebody, and we can say, hey, like all I can see is the sin in you. That's not giving any credit to maybe God is working. Right? A sinful person starts off 100% sinful. When we infuse Jesus into them, it doesn't mean that they're 100% perfect. Right? It means that they're working on it. It's a process. We should see it go to 99 and 90 and 80, and maybe there's some big leaps, and maybe we go from 100% sinful to 10% right away, but still's 10% in there. We want to be aware of sin. We never want to get used to it. We never want to overlook it. But we don't want to gawk at it. We don't want to get totally preoccupied with it. We want to gawk at Jesus. So pretty simple nightly nonsense tonight. All right, we could go on and on. I could talk forever, which most of you know. Right? But what we want to do is we want to get to the place where we're gawking at the things of Jesus. We're amazed and astonished at how God is working in our own lives and how God is working in the lives of others. Then we want to be intentional about our compliments to those things. Hey, I just saw Jesus in you. Did you recognize it? Did you even see that? Right? I just saw Jesus in you. Ought to be something that we walk up alongside people and tell them all the time. Hey, I recognize my Jesus in you. So hey, take a good moment. Think about what it is that you're gawking at today. What did you gawk at yesterday? What do you need to gawk about? Change your gawkiness. How's that for a good word? Change that, right, from the worldly stuff to the Christ-like stuff. I see Jesus all around me. I see Jesus in people. Right? That's what brings us our encouragement. That's what keeps us going. If we're gawking at worldly things, eventually we're going to be becoming a worldly person. So when you see yourself starting to slide, check your focus. Check what it is that you're gazing upon. What is it that you're gawking at? Hey, we'll see you next time on Nightly Nonsense.